there's got to be a point in all of our lives when something happens and we become a seeker.
Back with another one with Chris Parks and Jason DeRocha for Seekers of the Eternal podcast. Chris, how are you this beautiful morning?
Hey, friends, I'm doing great.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, good to see you and good to have everybody joining us. It's been cool hearing friends telling me that they're listening to the podcast. So, welcome everybody who's listening and going on this journey with us.
Yes, I'm excited about today's podcast because I had a chance to go through the meditation that you had provided, which it was such a blessing. I always when I think about those kinds of things, just even taking the time to sit down and gift yourself the opportunity to take a break from it all can sometimes feel stressful, which is weird even saying. Just to carve that out in your schedule, and then once you're in it, you say to yourself, "Why don't I do this more often?" It's really strange, but maybe that's the way that we feel about everything. That when we do something, like leading up to something that we know we need to do, when we're in the moment, it's like, "What? Like, this is where I'm supposed to be." But I think we get so caught up in the everyday that we convince ourselves that giving that time for ourselves of enjoyment or peace or self-love is somehow undeserving. And I'm just really glad that I got a chance to do that. So I got lots to share with you in that
Cool.
space.
Yeah, that'll be fun to talk about. Yeah, it's just like whenever I go to the beach or I go on like a nature walk or if I go to the gym or do something good for myself, I'm like, why don't I always do this? But that first resistance is always so strong. So it's just
I
moving
wonder where
past
that
that.
comes from. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, we can talk about that a little more
guilt
when
too.
we get
Yeah,
into that.
cool. And then obviously, the team went down to the Futurist conference in Toronto, EthToronto's Futurist conference, and it was absolutely epic. Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, he spoke. Anthony Delorio, who was another founder of Ethereum way back when, he came out and he spoke. And there was just speakers in the crypto and Web3 space that really were phenomenal speakers. They were passionate about what they do. They really are trying to make this technology something that can change people's lives for the better, and trying to give power back to the people. So it was really cool to learn and to listen. The other thing that was pretty epic was connecting with each other as a founding team, like coming together and not doing Zoom calls and phone calls all the time, but actually in person. And then getting a chance to meet up with some of the members from Seekers of the Eternal who also attended EthToronto. Some came in from Turkey, some from Winnipeg, some all over the world. But when you meet each other in person, there's this really incredible like feeling of seeing a family member. I was saying on the AMA last night when Chris saw Sir Goat from our Discord. He embraced
Paul, right?
Paul.
Yeah.
When Paul saw Sir Goat, Sir Goat embraced him like a brother and like held him like, "Oh, I owe you a really big hug." And it's because of the exchange that they've been having on Discord every day, and it was just really beautiful to watch. So yeah, I wanted to share some stuff about EthToronto as well. And then Chris, I know that you have some really awesome information and thoughts to share with us as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, so it's really cool to hear that these connections that get made. It reminds me of like back in the day when I was getting into like the music scene that I was into. It was like straight edge hardcore punk rock, but back then, if you saw a person wearing a certain shirt or a certain, like a lot of people used to wear these like Hare Krishna choker beads, and you have certain things that you're wearing, that person is, he knows, he or she is down with some of the things that you're down with and has like
Yeah.
similar mindset around things, or, is raised straight, has like a, sort of a straight edge, hardcore sort of ethos. So you immediately have this connection. And then, later in my life now, meeting people that I know are meditating or, are wearing a shirt with Ganesha on it or with one of the deities, it's like we immediately can start having these conversations like we've been old friends. So I
Yeah,
always love stuff like that. And yeah, this now gives us all the chance to do that with our own
totally.
communities that we're building.
Yeah, those connection points, man, they're incredible. Sometimes it's really interesting to see what people appreciate, right? But sometimes it's the art, sometimes it's the meaning behind the art, the stories, the epics, the cultures, the traditions. But this project gives us a chance to touch on anything and everything. So yeah, let's start there. With the Toronto, when we decided after VCon that coming to these conferences is it's not just a desire, it's a necessity. I think you have to, if you're going to be in the space of Web3, when you're around something that's budding and growing for the very first time, I think you have to immerse yourself in it, because there's so much noise, and which can be off-putting to some folks, right? When you think things are the way that they are, and all of a sudden things change. It's you can second guess that technology, or whatever that thing is, if you see it going through some states of evolution. It's growing pains, and sometimes it could be off-putting because you think to yourself, oh, maybe this is never going to happen. But every single conference we go to, we are reassured that everybody that is there is just genuinely trying to learn. Nobody has the answer. Everyone has their answer, but nobody has the answer. And it's this coming together of minds who are just trying. And so starting off, when we got to VCon, of course, we were just completely in awe. That was the first time we got together at a conference. But this one, we actually put some thought into it. So we looked at what the lectures were going to be, who was going to be speaking, what they're going to be speaking about, what really spoke to us as a team. And then for our NFT project, we want to understand, what some of the best practices have been in some of these communities that were able to build great followings with a true appreciation for the art, for the artist, for the team, for the principles associated with. So, we had a chance to listen on some of these really great creators. A lot of them just, they said, what you have to do is don't think about the end goal. Like, don't think about the prize at the end. Are you going to be minting out? Or is your community going to be 20,000? What's the next fifth, sixth, seventh NFT project? Just focus on the task at hand, the next step. And it was kind of what you were talking about. It's not important to see the whole staircase, just the first step, and to take the first step. So that was just a great reminder in our case. And so, that was first and foremost the lesson. The second one that we really took away was, spreading the word, like organic versus this marketing and promoting. It's always a struggle because you want people to know about it. You want everyone to join, especially when you believe in something, but you don't want to force it down anyone's throat. And, especially something like what we're trying to do with our project, it's not something you want to force people into. Like, you almost kind of want them to organically appeal to their senses, and hopefully, bring them in. What are your thoughts on that? Like, as we start to grow this community, and we're now just under 2,000 people, how do you feel right now, Chris? Seeing everyone kind of come through, and do you ever feel like an urgency to panic and move away from organic growth?
I like organic growth. I like because you're bringing in people that are actually interested in what you're doing, and then you don't have all of those naysayers and haters that show up. It's been interesting for me, kind of like as an artist, just sort of building my, say my Instagram profile and the following of people who are interested in what I'm doing. I don't want to bring in you know thousands and thousands and thousands of people from some big marketing campaign that I did that wasn't bringing in the right people, because then my feed is just going to be full of annoying comments of people that don't get it, and just people who aren't supposed to be there.
Right.
And not that it's like exclusive, or that I don't welcome anybody who's interested, but if you're not supposed to be there and you're not interested and you don't get it, and you're just going to be giving me a hard time about the things that I'm saying or the
Right.
artwork that I'm making, then I'd rather you not be there. So um, it's like I'll have friends of mine that have really, they've really blown up with their artwork, and I look at their comments, I'm like, man, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that, because they got too big.
Yes.
And not to say that we don't want to get big. Like, I think we can get big, and that's what's really cool about the current state of the world, that you can. And what's really the thing that's drawing me to, and all of us to, Web3, is that there is huge audiences for the thing that you want to do, the thing that you care about, and you can bring those organic members in that are going to
Yeah.
care about it and are going to be a good part of your community. And then the ones who, and that's what's so cool about Discord is like, if you're not looking for it, you can't find it really. It's not
That's
like
true. That's so
you don't
true.
hardly stumble upon what we're doing and show up and start, talking trash or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Well, I feel like you're
yeah.
right. I think like, I've been in those kinds of groups where people would write these, there's like this jargon in the Web3 space. They'll say things like, when Lambo or, LFG and there's not, again, nothing against it, especially when people are excited to, you can throw that comment in and maybe it sometimes doesn't even mean, when am I going to be able to sell this for a Lamborghini? And it's more like, when is this going to take it to when are we taking things to the next level? And I love that kind of energy and excitement
Yeah.
around anything, around a project. But I do think that there's always the risk of setting, false expectations or superficial expectations when you don't have a true appreciation for the art in the community, and you can hurt a lot of people.
Hmm.
One of the things I found about our community, we do these reflection questions of the day, and Paul Lee has been posting those regularly, and the conversations that come about, it's humbling. Like people that are here are genuinely looking not just for artwork and not just for just like the beauty of that, of holding that or whatever the value is that comes to them, but it's like they're longing for a sense of community and belonging, and to the point where they're willing to share with you some of the most personal, uh, challenging, difficult stories in the Discord, in a general chat, and opening it up to feedback. And if you have people that are genuinely there to do good and to be a part of this community, man, the love and the wisdom and the experience shared is
Hmm.
very humbling. It's
Hmm.
really, really admirable. And I mean, sometimes I read it and I just sit back and I'm thinking to myself, wow, what are we creating? What
Hmm.
this incredible forum for people to find maybe some peace.
Yeah, to me, that's a really beautiful sign that we're headed in the right direction. We're allowing something good to come through. Our energy, the things that we're making, something good is coming through.
Yeah.
It's like what a wonderful thing just to have to know in your mind that you could go onto this community if you're having a bad day or you have some questions, you want to just like talk to some people who are just genuinely interested in helping you out if you have a question or something, and nobody's like, we don't have any egos about it. We're not trying to like big dog anybody with anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think what a wonderful thing to have. Like growing up for me, I used to have this park near where I lived called Fountain Park.
Mm.
And if you just showed up there and you sat on the bench, somebody else would see you and somebody else would come sit on the bench with you. It would be this thing where just there was a group of us who always hung out at this park. So any night that you're bored, you just go out there and if you sit there for a little bit, somebody else will see you and it'll just grow and grow and you'll have
That's
like a
cool.
community. So I
That's
never
really
was
cool.
bored. We always just would go to Fountain Park. What do you want to do? Let's go to Fountain Park. So we can kind of have this virtual Fountain Park where it's
Yeah.
just like you show up and there'll be some friends there and we can
That's
just,
right.
everybody's your friend. Like nobody's trying. And I think we're creating, like Ram Dass or some of my like spiritual teachers, they talk about, say when you're, when a spiritual teacher is giving a talk, a lot of times in anybody that you're listening to talk, oftentimes you don't really remember exactly what they said. It
Mm.
was really like you remember, and I think you had a quote about Maya Angelou. It's like you remember the feeling that you got. You remember,
Yeah.
and it's almost like the speaker himself gets out of the way, and then you just create like an environment for
Right.
people to open up to and to feel something. And
Yeah.
so I like to think of what we're creating as an environment. So where even if people did come in and they were being harsh or negative, that just immediately wouldn't vibrate there.
True.
It wouldn't work,
So true. Yeah, you can get the sense that, what you almost get the sense of someone's intentions right away when you've created an
Hmm.
environment where people feel safe and comfortable and have a sense of belonging, and not that we want anyone to ever feel like a foreigner, but like you said, like you don't need those kinds of comments to come in here and kind of ruin the vibration that exists.
Yeah.
The better,
Yeah.
the good part about it though is when you develop a community like that, they all become like Hanuman warriors to a degree, right? Like they're all
Hmm.
protecting the sanctity of the community. And
Hmm.
so, and I think you can weed that out, and maybe not necessarily, you wouldn't even need to boot them out. I think sometimes they can find they'll find their way out. If this isn't something that speaks to them, they'll very quickly find their way
Hmm.
out of the community. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like with my Instagram page, it's so funny. Like, I mean, it's like I don't have like a huge following. It's like 32,000, something like that. But my in and out is like it's almost equal with like about 20 more followers than unfollowers every week.
Wow.
So it's like it's a lot of unfollows, a lot of new follows. So it's just a lot
Oh,
of
that's
that.
so
It's just
interesting.
always sorting itself and always
Yeah.
shifting and changing. And
Yeah, I love
yeah.
that. I think that's pretty cool. The one thing also that I wanted to talk about was the sustainability of Web3, which is the last point that I want to touch on for ETH Toronto. Um, it wasn't just like a bunch of young kids coming together and saying, "Hey, let's really give this crypto thing a push and make millions of dollars." You got people there from the highest levels of investments and politics and technology, and they're all working together. It's not everybody from those fields, and it's going to take some convincing for other people who have been doing different things for so long, like breaking those traditions, breaking away from the traditions to adopt new ones. But there are very sophisticated, intelligent, experienced individuals at all levels from all areas of life, coming together to try to make a good go at this. And we're starting to see that evolution take place in finance and art and investments and technology. And it was just really reassuring. Like, we're not just spinning our wheels here. This is going to be,
Hmm.
and the one thing that hit me personally was when we create this incredible community and these beautiful NFTs with these epic stories, with you, who is one of the most prolific artists I've ever met. You, in the future, like, these aren't going anywhere. These are on the blockchain. They are going to be in people's wallets, and they can hold on to them, and they can bring value to themselves in their own personal way. But the other part is once we build this community, we can partner with other incredible communities that already exist in the real world. And so,
Hmm.
for example, if there's a yoga studio or a yoga company that really likes our ethos and the community and our art and wants to partner with us, we could create a partnership opportunity where people within our community that visit that yoga studio anywhere that, if it's in their neighborhood, they would potentially get a membership perk or a discount, or get access to that studio that they wouldn't have otherwise. So we actually have this
Hmm.
really cool opportunity now to take what we have and connect with other entities around the world, so that we can have our community members continuously gain benefit and utility in the real life with people maybe who don't necessarily even hold maybe one of our Hanuman or Genesis Pass NFTs, but they're still a part of our community, so we can find a way to even help them as well. Like, this is just really cool utility, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. And
Yeah,
that's just an example of the ideas that will come, so many. It's just like as we just start to, see the tip of the iceberg with this, and then we just keep our minds like completely open, like, all right, what wants to happen here?
yeah,
What are the opportunities, and what is this allowing this inspiration to come through?
yeah,
And the possibilities are endless, and it brings a lot of enthusiasm and joy to like a time that otherwise seems a little daunting and scary, but it's
yeah,
like at the same time, it's always like that, right? It's always
yeah.
at the same time when it seems so treacherous that it also seems so vibrant with new possibilities. And that's
I
just when the
agree.
old things are dying and the new things are coming.
Yeah, and it makes it exciting. I think if everything was for certain, I think it takes away from the excitement. I think, like you said, like, the obstacle becomes it's not the path isn't around the obstacle. It is actually the path is the obstacle. And I agree. I think the excitement comes with that, knowing that you can see that mountain and you can climb it, or you can go right through it. Like, that to me is really inspiring. Um, you know, I know we're moving into the meditation piece, which I want to share with you my personal experience and get some, I want you to ask me some questions, but I have some questions for you as well. Um, we talked to Sir Goat in our community a little bit about this, where we said, like, one of the benefits or perks that we want to create for this community is, obviously, Chris hosts weekly meditations that we can all access. He posts we post obviously the links to these meditations, but they can also access your meditations virtually. But we're moving towards a time where we can actually have an in real life, where we bring our community members together, or a certain percentage of our community members together, and actually have a real in real life meditation together somewhere. Maybe it's St. Petersburg, maybe it's in Scottsdale, maybe it's in Toronto here. But how great it would be to get everyone to kind of come together. And I had this vision as the sun is shining outside my window right now, of seeing our community members together outside in the sun having a meditation session together, and hearing the calm tones of your voice and the wisdom that comes through, and that guided journey together with you. Like that to me would be part of the pinnacle. Like that experience would be a pinnacle.
Oh yeah, that's definitely going to happen. Yeah, yeah, and even getting combined with music festival events. I've been brought out to do guided meditations at music festival events, so we can combine with other big things where it's like, fly in, do this. We have other, like other really cool classes that you can join as well, and then join together with like really good music. So yeah, I know that's
signing up for that.
For sure.
That sounds amazing. So let's talk about the meditation, Chris. I guess maybe if you don't mind, maybe just start by sharing a little bit about, the clip that we already have. Everyone can access it in our Discord. If they go into our Discord, you did an A and a B meditation. So if they go to this Discord SOTE podcast channel, you will see all of our podcasts in there with both of the meditations. And so maybe just talk a little bit about the meditations, the differences between both, and what the objective was in creating these opportunities for the members of our community.
So the two episodes, it's episode 5A and 5B. And then 5A is a 30-minute practice. And this is what's known as Ananda meditation. It's kind of my spin on what I've been taught from my teachers, and what Yogananda has really is like brought these like core meditation techniques. This technique of Hong Sa, he says, is a very powerful technique from India for developing concentration. And with concentration, you may heal your minds. And this is something when I started practicing with it, I had been working and practicing with different techniques for almost a decade, trying different things, seeing which ones stuck. And when I practiced that Hong Sa, I don't know if it was just I was ready for that one specifically, but also when I teach it to other people, they say the same thing. I've been working on meditation for a long time, and I did this one with you, and it's like I'd never been able to concentrate like that before.
Yeah.
And being able to learn, it's so fascinating to me. I think maybe for me too, as an artist or someone who likes to practice and get good at things, if we learn how to concentrate in a peaceful meditation in a peaceful space, we learn how to concentrate there. And that's what we're doing. We're just practicing like we practice anything. So let's practice concentrating, because if you practice learning how to concentrate, you can apply that to anything else that you're doing in your life. If you want to learn how to paint, you want to learn how to, do jujitsu or skateboard or surf or anything. If you're concentrating, if you're putting your full mind on something and not becoming distracted with other thoughts, that's where the flow is. That's where flow states exist.
Yeah. And I think with social media now, where you can jump on TikTok, for example, and you get that instant dopamine hit because the video is like starts as soon as you hit that app. It's like boom, and it's like a 30-second video, and you swipe and the next one begins right away, and it's like this constant dopamine hit that you keep getting. In the moment, it may even feel good, especially if your feed is feeding you all the information that you enjoy, that makes you tick. That actually stimulates the mind so much that maybe, for me personally, I'm going to speak now, when it comes to the meditation, it makes it 10 times harder for me to quiet my mind, because my mind is so used to getting fed at that level that it almost becomes anxiety producing, now switching gears and saying, now I'm actually going to try and shut all of that off and try to quiet the mind so that I can focus and concentrate. So I think in
Hmm.
this space right now, we need it more than ever, because I think these like dopamine hits that everyone's becoming addicted to, is starting to become prevalent in the community.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Yogananda had some insights about that when you sit down to meditate and when you start to quiet your mind, and then you realize the agitation that's there. It's not that the meditation, he says, is not that the meditation is causing the agitation. He says that you're just now recognizing the agitation that was already there that you
Yeah.
just weren't aware of. And so now when you sit down and you quiet your mind and you realize like, wow, that's what's going on in there, you know? Oh man, like how am I even
Right.
functioning like this? And something that another teacher of mine that I love, and he really helped me to learn to meditate every day. His name is Eknath Easwaran,
Mm,
and he he had a metaphor that I really love about a movie, like a movie projector going to the movies, a big roll of film
mm,
that is on the wheel. And if you look at a film for a movie theater, you'll see an image, an animation image, still image, and you'll see a black box, and then you'll see the next still image. So in order to create an animation, you need to have like image black, image black,
yeah.
image black, and then when you roll it, it creates the illusion of
Movement.
movement and
Mhm.
reality that way. So he says you can think about your thoughts as that movie reel. Each one of your thoughts is it's going like when you first start meditating, you realize your mind is going really fast. That wheel is just turning and it's animating. And it seems like your mind is just going, 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 and there's no way to slow it down or stop it.
Mhm.
And you just get caught up in your thoughts and you get carried away with your thoughts. And that's when you lose your center, you lose your present, your state of in the moment present, and you lose the present moment, you lose your center. But in meditation, we learn how to slow down those thoughts. So imagine in meditation, you notice a thought, and just you noticing it kind of slows it down. And then as you slow it down, you notice that thought, you notice that there's actually a black gap, a space in between one thought and the next thought. And there's a space there.
Mm.
And you get to sit in that space for a moment, and then the next thought will come again.
Right.
And then you learn, you learn to see those. But the idea is like, wow, there is a void, a space in between my thoughts. And with this meditation practice that we do, we practice. And I sort of like think about it as we're sort of like, say, walking out on a sandbar of a beach. You're walking, you're going, and I'm just taking you into like a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper. So I like to wade us into this depth that's
Yeah.
available and slowly take us there with there's a guided visualization. We start with relaxing and releasing the tension in the body. We do measured breathing, which helps you focus on the breath. And then we do a little guided visualization. And then I
Yeah.
take you into the Hong Sa concentration. And we don't leave it there at concentration either. So with the concentration, we're practicing, we're learning how to concentrate. And then when we get to that, this concentration creates a feeling of calmness,
Hmm.
a connection to calmness.
That's right.
And so when we get into that calm space, and you can do Hong Sa for a long time, but in this, we do it for a short period, and then we drop it. And then we make sure we're keeping our gaze uplifted at the spiritual eye. We're feeling in the heart, and we're listening to all sounds as, you just allow all sound, anything to come. And that puts you in a state of being wide open to receiving the divine qualities. And
Mm.
Yogananda says there, I believe he said eight divine qualities. Qualities are peace, calmness. Calmness is different from peace because you can be calm in an unpeaceful
Yeah,
world.
love that. Actually, I took notes and I was going to talk to you about that actually, but
Hmm.
continue.
Yeah. So calmness, and then there's joy, bliss, and love, which is bliss in motion. It's
Mm,
like feeling bliss and then sharing that bliss. That's love. And there's wisdom, when your calm intuition, that wisdom that just starts coming in. Your inner teacher just goes, oh, you're listening, and starts
yeah,
teaching you.
that's right.
And you're just listening. As soon as you start thinking, it's not wisdom anymore.
Right.
It's you thinking about it, and rehashing it, or trying to not forget it, or whatever you're
That's
doing.
right.
But you're just listening, and you're feeling. So whenever you catch yourself thinking again, it's like, oh, okay, this return to feeling in the heart, gaze uplifted at the spiritual eye, allow all sounds. And then that radio receiver, it goes from static back to like clear channel.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah.
You've kind of just laid out that 30-minute piece, like I took notes because I did it a couple of days ago, but I didn't want to forget, kind of how I felt from it. The analogy that you just used, like being like at a sandbar in water, it feels like a state of emergence, like like emerge, like submergence. Actually, you submerge into like this deep meditative state, and then when you finally hit it, and it sometimes takes a while to get down there, because like you said, you kind of become really conscious of the whatever that frantic energy is that you get from being so go go go, dopamine 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 all day. um you're finally in that state of bliss or peace when you let yourself get there. And then to come out of it, there's a bit of you, there's a part of me that's like, not yet, I want to stay here a little bit longer. But then as you do come out, like you said, like it's almost it's like your pores are open, like your pores open up, and you're able to absorb the, like as you say, like the light. You approach it like a child, where it's like, children are sponges, and you can retain a lot more, especially as a child, because your head's not full of all these other things. And then you look for this light, you absorb it, and you come out, but you come out with all the things that you're supposed to kind of come out with. So you submerge yourself, and then you emerge from the depths, and then hopefully that can kind of continue onto your day and your conversations and your interactions with other people. So I took a lot from it. I would love to take you through some of those notes, if you don't mind, Chris.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And the last three qualities, I named five of them. The you named one of them there, was light, where you actually can experience light, because everything is light.
Yeah.
The entire universe, Yogananda and the great sages say that all there is light. You are light.
Mm,
And you can experience that light with your gaze uplifted at the spiritual eye. They say that when you're looking here, it's like a mirror. The chakra that you're starting from is actually at the base of the brain, the medulla oblongata.
mhm.
And you're looking from there, and this point is the opposite pole of that chakra. They say that this is a mirror. So it's actually like your ego is looking into a mirror, and then you're looking at your infinite self.
Mm,
And from that space, it's like this whole thing is a movie. It's like we're walking around as like a movie projector, projecting
right.
everything that we see in front of us. So when you're quiet in meditation and you're keeping your gaze uplifted there, you're actually, Yogananda says, you're looking into the beam of the movie projector that's projecting all of this out, and that's infinity. And
Wow.
you become conscious of infinity by doing that. And then you can also, as you're doing that, the last, well, second to last quality is the sound of Om. So as you're
Mm,
looking into that beam of infinity, you're hearing the vibrational source. So it's matter and energy. Matter and energy are the same thing, and they're all
yeah.
vibrating. Like if you play a speaker, you've probably seen those videos. You put it on sand under a speaker, on top of a speaker, and
Yeah.
it's creating these beautiful mandala patterns and everything like
Yes.
that. That sound of Om is around us. It is everything, and every sound that you hear is Om. So you begin to hear everything as one sound. So you can
Mm,
see light and hear Om. These things come in time, so don't worry if you're not doing that right away. It's like, but this is why you practice, because really
Yes.
great things can happen. And then the last one is energy. The more that you practice with this, you begin to, like, you hear about the chakras. Oh, great, this is some hippie whatever. No, I can tell you that is very, very real. And you can very much feel the energy in the chakras, and you can loosen that energy, and you can definitely feel it moving up through the astral spine. So yeah, that was just, I just want to name the last
Yeah,
qualities
thank
there.
you. Thank
I'd
you
love to
for
hear
that,
about
Chris.
your experience.
Yeah, so I think, I'll start. So like, the reason I want to share my meditation experience is because I feel like there's probably more people, um, and this is a huge assumption on my part, but I would figure there's more people in my space who don't necessarily practice it on a regular basis, because people in general, I find, are so caught up with, the everyday of life. And I know now, and there's more and more folks who are moving towards gifting themselves the opportunity for meditation and a meditative practice through maybe yoga, or just meditation itself. But I think there's a lot of people, the people that I know, the people that I speak with, they find it very difficult to give themselves a chance to meditate. And they all come to the same struggles, which is, I try, but then, my mind starts racing, or I can't get quite calm enough, and then they give up on it. So, I called you, Chris, or we had a quick conversation at the beginning of the week, and I knew I was going into EthToronto, but I said, when I do this, how should I approach this? Like, how do I make sure that I don't sabotage myself? But, the moment I sit down, I figure I got to get up and move. And you said, go find a quiet room, even if it's like a walk-in closet somewhere where you can close the door and be on your own. And you said, talk to your wife and just let her know you're going away to meditate for 30 minutes, and you just need someone else to answer the door. You're going to be turning your phone off. And it was really important to set some parameters around me that I knew I would not be disturbed. And what I also realized was the setting really, it doesn't matter, and it matters. It doesn't matter, meaning, like, it could be a walk-in closet, and it can be a very serene and peaceful place. So in that sense, it doesn't matter. But what matters the most is, like, can you find a space where you can almost shut yourself off a little bit from the world, and where it's okay, where you're not evading your responsibilities to other people. And so that was really, really important for me, Chris, because I don't think I ever really put that kind of plan in place. So thank you for encouraging me to put myself in a space where I have it as, the path of least resistance. So to start, I click on the meditation, the 30-minute meditation. So it's 5A, through our Discord. And the first thing that I noticed was how soothing your voice is. So
Oh, good.
guided meditation is, to me, absolutely critical for someone who is starting this for the very first time. Because if you can't be in the room with somebody that has done this before, and you're going to rely on yourself, it's almost like, you're doing all things. If I compared it to my everyday life, it feels like, in one instance, grocery shopping, driving my kids to school, dropping them off, getting dressed, shaving, doing some work, but it's like doing it all at once. That's the way it would have felt without having your voice there. But knowing, as soon as I can hear you, and you settled in and getting to a quiet space, and the chair that you're sitting on, and how you position yourself, all of that really allowed for me to access this with as least there was no I didn't feel any gravity pushing against me. I hope that that's a decent analogy.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was incredible. The the other thing that I think that caught me off guard was something that I became, as you start to submerge into this space, you do become very conscious of the things that still exist, like the influences and the variables that are around you. So initially, so I ended up going to my basement, because it's dark, it's very quiet, and I hear it like the least from the outside, and nobody can get to me there.
Nice,
But
like a cave down there.
it is, yeah. But what I became really conscious of was the temperature. So it was very cold downstairs. I guess the air conditioning was really high. So just, be really mindful. Like, sometimes you do have to kind of be surgical with these kinds of things.
Mhm.
but it was a little bit too cold for me, and I became really conscious of it. So, rather than sitting in shorts and sleeves in my basement, I wanted to just make sure that I was comfortable, so I wasn't taken away by the fact that my legs were getting colder. I started to losing the sensation in my finger, in my
Yeah, you
extremities.
can bring like a blanket, it's a lot of meditators will have bring a blanket with them, put it over them so you're in this,
That's a good idea.
space. Hmm.
So that was definitely something, and I had a cushion to sit on, so I was very comfortable. So I was really conscious about keeping upright. Um, so right away, this was kind of interesting, Chris. I don't know if you had this experience. So as I was listening and going into the meditative state, it felt like I'm. I wrote it down. I was dialing into an ancient practice that is ever present, meaning like it felt like I picked up the phone and called a place that always exists that I can call anytime, and then I'm there.
Mm,
And at the end of it, I could hang up and I walk away. But it's like, I can't believe I don't call that place
mm,
more often. And do you
mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That took me by surprise. As soon as
that's
we
it.
started talking about you started talking about the practice and where we're going and how we're going to get there. It's like, wow, this is a very, it's calming and it's quiet, but you can feel the power. Like you can feel the energy of the experience, what you're about to
Mm,
do for yourself. It's
mm-hmm,
quite remarkable.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's the coolest. I mean, really, I think I even say it in the meditation about say the feeling, the quality of calmness,
Hmm.
that this calmness, it always exists. It's everywhere. It goes with you everywhere that you go. It never leaves you. And you can access that calmness. And Yogananda says that calmness is invincibility, that you can stand unshaken amidst the crash of breaking worlds.
Hmm.
And he's talking about that inner refuge of calmness, that space that exists for you, that is your home.
Yeah.
So in the meditation, we get used to practice, like we work out that muscle. The more often that you visit that calm space, then you realize you could be having a conversation with somebody who is very aggressive with you, being very aggressive with you, and you can
Hmm.
just go back into that calm space in your mind and very presently listening to what they're saying. And maybe in that moment you're listening to like what they're actually feeling and going, you know what, you're right. Maybe I made you feel that way, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Rather than what would happen normally is we would get defensive and we would make a counter argument. Now we're all agitated, and because what we're really wanting to do is dissolve our ego. So if somebody is criticizing us, that's actually
Yeah.
really great, but that's hard to listen to.
That's so true.
So yeah, but that is our home. It
I
exists.
love
We can
that.
always be there.
And I think that to me is like it's like a treasure chest. People, you think of the idea of like me going into my backyard and digging a hole and all of a sudden hitting something, and you dig it up, you pull it out, and there's a chest in there, and you find a way to crack the lock and you open it, and there's this like ancient treasure with like gold and diamonds that could change your life. And there isn't a person on the planet that wouldn't feel the excitement around that, but that's what we have access to. That's what I
Mm,
realized through this quick meditation was like, if this is something that I really learned how to access, and if you liken it to gold or diamonds or treasure, it only has value if you can learn how to spend that. Same thing here. If this is a treasure box, what's inside, if you can learn how to spend
mm,
that, and in your relationships with others, your wife, your children, personally, when you're
mm,
exercising, if you can access that and then take that treasure out and use it to spend in those moments, you could live a very wealthy life, a very rich
mm,
life. So that was one thing that really hit home for me. But there's a great interview with Bob Marley, and someone says to him, I'll put the video up in our Discord, and someone asks him, are you rich? Are you rich? And he says, uh, so Bob's answer is, what do you mean rich? And he says, so the person says, well, do you have like lots of possessions? Do you have any possessions? He says, possessions make you rich. And he says, if that's what rich is, then I'm not a rich man. I don't have lots of possessions. That's not my richness.
mm.
and it was beautiful. He's like, but love is my rich. Love is my wealth. That's
Mm,
it. My friends, my
mm.
family, my love. That's my wealth, not possessions. And so I think that's what really resonated with me, and it made me want to go deeper into the space. So
Man, yeah, that's I'm so glad that yeah, you shared that with me and we're able to connect there with that. And because that's what I love just showing people that this is something that you already have. It's already there and we've just forgotten how to access it. And perhaps if you're interested at all in meditation right now in this lifetime, you're probably picking back up on a meditation practice you've been doing for many, many lifetimes.
mm,
You've gotten a lot of new experiences in this life journey, and now it's time for you to find your meditation practice again
yeah,
and use it in with the career that you have, the family that you have, the friends that you made, and then you tune back into that meditation practice again. So don't always think that you're actually starting at the ground level. You
that's a really good
probably
point.
not.
Wow, that's a
You're
really
probably
good
not.
point.
Yeah. And sometimes what'll happen with meditation, like with you in this one, is a lot of beginner's luck involved. Like if you just show up and you want to learn how to shoot or something like that, and you're just excited about it. And a lot of times you'll hit a bullseye right away. And it's just because you're coming in with it without a lot of like seriousness, and you're just like, I'm gonna try this out.
Yeah.
And also I think you're gifted with, like, it wants to show you like, yeah, this is real,
Mm,
and it gives you a taste of that. And then you keep coming back for it. You're like,
yeah.
wow, I want to pick up where I left off with that
Yeah.
last one.
And I feel like sometimes, there's like this, how do I put this? There's like a perception where if you talk about it the way that I just maybe spoke about it, it could come across crazy to some people. Like when I'm like, oh, it's like a treasure chest that you can access that's never ending. There's a bottomless pit of this treasure. It's like, what is this guy on, or what is he
Right.
talking about? But I probably would feel like that too if I was that far removed from the process or the practice. The closer you get to it, the more real that is, and you realize that there's just as much reality in that or more than what we feel, what we dig after in the material world is very limited. There's a bottom to every chest. Once you take it out and you spend it, that's it. You have to fill it with something else. You better hope you can fill it with something else, or find another chest that's full of something. But it's
Hmm.
all it's all finite. This is an opportunity to hit the infinite. And because we don't get a chance, we don't talk about it that often, or we don't get a chance to experience that often, or it takes work. It's not instant dopamine. You actually have to put in some work to get it. It can, we sometimes convince ourselves, well, that's crazy or that's impossible. But it's not. And that was a huge eye opener for me. And I'm just getting started. So, like you said,
Hmm.
maybe we've experienced this in our other lives, and we get a chance to touch it, and you realize, wow,
Yeah.
why is this so familiar?
We're here to remind each other, like if you and I, we met through this project, but
Mm,
like our souls have hung out, no doubt, in
100%.
many lifetimes.
Yeah.
And a lot of your friends, like people listening to this, people that like you have been on this journey with them. Like, it's probably staggering how many lifetimes you spend together.
Yeah.
Somebody that you meet that you immediately don't like, you probably have some past history with them.
That's a good
Some
point. That's a
and
really
you're
good
here to
point.
work it out. You should work it out.
Yeah.
You really should work it out.
I think there's a
Eh,
movie script in this, Chris. Like I love like just even the whole concept. Like this, we could take this in so many different directions. But I feel like if there isn't a movie about, do you know of a movie about that where it touches on something like this?
I mean, it's so funny. Is like, yeah, I think there's gotta be, but I can't think of
Can't think of
any,
one either.
right now. You know what? Something specifically to the project in that vein that has been really coming through for me this week is, say, this image of Hanuman, this image of Hanuman that we're putting out there, and the people who see it and are attracted to it. That's a very interesting thing. If
Hmm.
you see that image and you're like, something about that is really captivating me, and I want to know more. Because
Mm,
that's what it did to me 18 years ago when I saw it in the temple in Thailand. It captivated my mind. And I was thinking about that. Think about like some of these images that you see that you immediately are drawn to. Like, why?
yeah.
Um, and I think that's what's happening with these deities, like say any images of gods. Like, and actually, that's if you think about Hollywood movies right now, like these stories about gods and the Marvel characters are all
Mm,
versions of gods. I had this come through. I'm not saying this is fact or whatever, but I feel that these images of gods or these stories of gods perhaps have been around for an infinite for infinity. They're always around, and that when our in a lifetime, if we start we see these like almost like dream symbols. We see this symbol
mm,
and we're drawn to it, and that's what happened for me. I saw this image of Hanuman. I was so far from wanting to meditate, wanting to get in, but it just I saw that image and it sparked something that me. It wasn't even maybe like I don't know how many years, like 7 years or so before I like really even it was after mushrooms and all
huh,
these things that I actually ever wanted to explore meditation and finding out what Hanuman was all about.
interesting.
And it just kept coming. So to me, I was like, like I'm remembering that from my past lifetime. And, even say if this is all us, like maybe I left that image there for myself so that when I come back again, I would see that and I would remember. And
Yeah,
yeah, all
that's
of these
cool.
deities work that way.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. There's a movie with Denzel Washington called Deja Vu, where they find out how to bend the time space continuum, and he's able to go back 3 days because that's the way the technology works. You can only go back, I think, 3 days. And there's a scene where Denzel figures out, okay, I can go back 3 days and I can prevent this catastrophic crime from happening and save this girl's life. And there's this one scene where he goes back, or he sees on the refrigerator, it says you can save her, with letters, like I guess those children's letters, those magnet letters that you can put on the fridge. But he sees this phrase, you can save her, written on the refrigerator. And when he reads it, he realizes it's not the first time he was there. So he's done this before. He's
Mm,
done this before, and maybe countless times, until he can save this girl. And he was writing these little notes to himself because every time he
mm-hmm,
knows he's going to come back until he gets it right. So he sees it, you can save her. And he's like,
mm.
wow. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
been
that
here
gives me
before.
goosebumps thinking about that because I
Yeah.
think there's so many times that's happening. And when we slow down in meditation, we gain awareness. We start to
Mm,
develop this awareness. And with that awareness, we start to notice synchronicities, start to realize like everything's connected. We start to
yeah.
realize like, why am I attracted to that? Why am I attracted to this person? And then you get to sort of follow these clues that can lead you back to picking up where you left off.
Yeah.
Because if you're listening to I don't want to I want to keep stressing this, like if you found this podcast, if you found Seekers of the Eternal, if you're interested in this in any way, you're coming back to pick up something where you left off. This
Yeah.
isn't new to you. There's a slim chance that it's new to you.
Right.
You're finding something that that you've been trying to get your higher self has been pushing and creating situations in your life to help you find your way back onto the path again.
Yeah, I love that perspective, Chris. I think how if I'm really sad that you said that to me now and not 10 years ago. I'm sad that it took this long to meet you and to feel like that. But I think things happen in the right time and in the right space, as you also have said before. And yeah, I think that there have two choices. You can either believe it or not. You can say, no, that's just all bullshit. I'm just not going to do that. Or think of it just by embracing that. Like, maybe I was called here for some reason. Am I going to continue to ignore it? Do I have to wait another lifetime to get back here to find
Hmm.
this out? Or can I do it now and spend the rest of my life figuring out, the beauty and the treasures that lie beneath this? Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're here listening to this, we're your soul friends, and we're saying like, let's come back together. Let's
Yeah.
join the party. Let's pick up where we left off. Like, This image of Hanuman is a reminder. It's that little dream symbol that it's showing up in your life again, and it's drawing you back to just connecting with your higher self. Don't think about there's no religion here. There's no dogma. There's no none of that. It's just about connecting with what you talked about. Is that infinite calm space that you've always had all
Yeah.
along. And then when you stop to realize it and practice getting into that vibration again,
Yeah.
it makes life so interesting. I think we want to keep this one short today, so I wanted to just, I think maybe ending with just some thoughts on this, because the thing that's been coming through to me this week really strongly is Yogananda talks about, and a lot of teachers talk about, that life is a dream. And I'd heard that so many times before. And one of the things that got me onto the spiritual path was actually, I started with an interest in lucid dreaming, learning, trying to see if it is true that you can awaken inside your dreams and
Mm.
experience your dream consciously and be the master of your dream, where your imagination is immediately creating your reality. And I, after a hip surgery, I had eight weeks of not having to do anything, and I got to take naps every day. I didn't watch any TV. I just practiced lucid dreaming and
Wow.
reading books about different things I was interested in. And yeah, you can do it. You can wake up in your dreams, and it was the most exciting, wonderful thing that I'd ever experienced in my life. I was just going around telling everybody. I was just so like, how come we don't know? Why don't they teach us this? Like, you can do anything you want. You can go on any vacation that you want. You can
Wow.
go, like, I had surfing every day you want, and make, like, it was really great. You can fly. You can do all of these things. It's amazing. And that feeling that I would get, when I was practicing that, like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep. And as I'm practicing this, that feeling that you get when you consciously are doing it, like you catch yourself, and I had different methods. One of them that's very simple to talk about is, like, during the day, you just practice counting your fingers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And whenever you think about it, whenever you're bored, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if you keep doing that over and over, you catch yourself in the dream. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I'm dreaming.
Wow.
You start, and at first, when you do it, you start to see, like, more fingers. You start to see more fingers. The idea is that you have to keep yourself calm, because you'll wake up if you get
Right.
super excited about it. Your body that's sleeping is going to wake up, and you're going to pop out of the dream, and you'll be back into your body again. um, and so Yogananda says that in this life, we are also dreaming, that actually we are, our true existence is in the astral. It is that we don't have a body.
Hmm.
So I wanted to read something. This really clicked with me this week. This is a writing. This is from a great book called The Essence of Self-Realization. This is Wisdom of Yogananda.
Hmm.
This is Swami Kriyananda used to just record all the things that he would say, as many things as he could. So he said, this is Paramhansa Yogananda to illustrate this idea. He says, a man is sleeping and dreams that he is a soldier. He goes into battle, fights bravely, then is fatally wounded. Sadly, he dreams of his approaching death, perhaps thinking of the dear ones he must leave behind. Suddenly, he wakes up in joyful relief. He cries, ah, I am not a soldier, and I am not dying. It was only a dream. And he laughs to find himself alive and well. But what of the soldier who actually fights in this earth life and is wounded and killed? Suddenly, in the astral world, he wakes up to find that it was all just a dream, that in the other world, he has no physical body, no flesh to be wounded, no bones to be broken. Don't you see? All the experiences of this world are like that. They are nothing but dream experiences.
Hmm.
And that, like, just clicked so hard, and for me, and I want to say too, like, as I'm saying these things, I don't expect it to, like, immediately resonate, but maybe it's like a curiosity goes off in
Yeah.
your mind, like a little seed gets planted and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
For me, it didn't click right away. It took a lot of being interested in it and keeping my mind on it, listening to Yogananda speak about these things over and over, meditating, listening to it again. And then it was really this week that same feeling that I used to have with the lucid dreaming is starting to happen in my waking reality. That, when I would count my fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and but that same feeling that, like, wow, like, no, wait, this is the dream. This is the dream. And the awakened masters that can perform miracles and siddhis, and this is what they understand, that
Mm.
this is the dream. And it's only because, maybe it's that thing that we only use 10% of our brain, the ability
Right.
that we have.
Yeah.
Maybe when that brain is awakened to its full potential and you're fully present and you're functioning on all cylinders, that you can, there is no physical matter here. This is all vibrating energy and light rays. And that's why they can perform these miracles. There's
Mm.
stories of Neem Karoli Baba, who they say, we're going to talk about him a lot with this project, because they say he was an incarnation of Hanuman here, that was, here on this earth recently.
Mm.
There's so many miracle stories of him, where and also of Yogananda. Like there was one I just heard yesterday about Neem Karoli Baba. Somebody was talking to him, trying to test him or whatever, and sometimes they'll indulge, and he's like, okay. He went and sat at the bottom of a lake for they didn't even they just thought he was dead. It was like, I don't know how long he was down at the bottom of the lake, maybe days, and never came out, and then when he came out, they were all shocked and amazed, like, how did you do? He's like, I told you, this is how I'm doing. This is not, everyone can do this. This isn't a
Wow.
secret. And Yogananda would do these things all the time. Just to, an autobiography of a yogi, there's so many times in there where he's just demonstrating this life is a dream. You can do these things as well, and here's how you do it. So
Wow. There's a link. I'm going to send it to you as well as a recent podcast with Joe Rogan where he brought on someone who does data analysis for people who have psychedelic experiences, and when they're in that dream state, what's happening in the brain. And there is no difference between the dream state and real, like the activation level is the same. And so what he said was, even if you say it's a psychedelic experience or a dream, it's as real in your brain as this. So
mhm,
it doesn't there, if it's the same experience, meaning to your brain, then it doesn't, calling this the real world and that the dream state is irrelevant if the
mhm,
experience is the same. And I just thought,
mhm,
wow, that's pretty cool, especially like today's mind where like there's information everywhere. People are like, is it, is it proven? Is it data driven? Like this is a data scientist that actually came out and said this. And I'll send you the link, Chris, because it just speaks to exactly what you just spoke about. Yeah, it's pretty
yeah, our
incredible.
science is proving these things more and more. It's never disproving. That's the thing. It's never disproving. And that's the way these spiritual, like in Buddhism and all these kind of things. If science does disprove something, then okay, then that's obviously is not the right teaching. Then, because all of these things need to be in harmony with the natural laws. And any of these miracles that are quote miracles, they're not outside of the natural laws. They're actually just showing us how the natural universe really works. It's not some special miracle. So it's just we've forgotten how to access these things, and meditation teaches us how to do that.
All right. So, Chris, I would love to just, for the end of the discussion on meditation, um, you touched on something earlier that I think is really important. So, calmness differs from peace. And you said, calmness is dynamic and there's an invincibility about it. So, can we, let's just focus our energy on that, because that was a aha moment for me where calmness differs from peace. And when you said you could be, everything could be falling down around you, but you can still be calm. in like the eye and the eye in the tornado almost, where that calmness exists. And it reminded me when you said it of some of like the greatest, Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., when it's completely chaos around them, and people are getting killed senselessly, and there's oppression and this incredible amount of violence, yet they find a way to remain calm and not lose but to be the calm voice of reason, which everyone turns to in a state of chaos. Who can make sense of this? And those men did it, and it's the way that you described. So if you don't mind maybe touching on that, and then maybe sharing some of your final thoughts.
Yeah, it's such a blessing to even have a moment of realization of that. And this practice will give you those moments
Mm,
of touching it, at least for a quick moment. And that's really all it takes to for you to recognize the truth of it. And when you recognize that, the comfort that comes in your life, knowing that that's a possibility for you, it really, like what Yogananda says, is that, it's invincibility, that this you can stand unshaken amidst the crash of breaking worlds. And there's been so many people, examples of heroic people that have been, like you were saying, that can remain calm in this world that is very chaotic and very unpeaceful. And so in this meditation, we were talking a little bit about those peaceful moments, like you were talking, relate that story about, being, it's like out in nature and going from this, like the hot and the cold.
yeah. So, there's a moment where, at the end of the meditation, where it becomes a very visual experience, where we come out of it slowly, and we approach this emergence from the depths, like a child, where our pores are open and we start to absorb all that's around us. And you ask us to be aware of the light and allow the light in and to be filled with it. And in that moment, we have some family cottages that we love to go to with my wife's family, and they have saunas right on the cottage. And so what we do is we get to crank the saunas up to about 100 degrees or more, and you can only take that temperature for so long, but you allow your body to feel the pressure and the stress that comes with it, because you're putting your body through it's an intense experience. And then as you come out of it, what you do is you run down to the dock, and then you submerge, or so you jump right into this really cold
Mhm.
lake. And you do it midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. We do it at that time. And at that time, it is so quiet. You're in the middle of the forest. You're now swimming in a lake or river. Everyone else is asleep in their cottages or cabins. And you look up. And as you look up, all you see, especially when you're out of the city, is this incredibly rich tapestry of stars. Like, you can see more stars than you can sky. That's how many
Mm.
exist. So
Mhm.
imagine you've got the feeling of extreme heat now to extreme cold, this incredible sense of calmness and quiet, and then you look up and the stars are just shining so bright. That's
Mhm.
what that moment feels like. And my pores are open from the sauna, so you're absorbing a lot, and you can see the steam coming off my head. But there's this moment of bliss that you hit,
Mm.
and that's what that experience reminded me of.
Yeah, and I wanted, yeah, to talk about that, because so many people, hopefully, we've all at least tasted something like that, an experience where there was a moment where we were just taking it all in, and whatever it took to get there, um, we realized that we can have that same experience just sitting in our basement or in
Mhm.
our closet, and having those outward experiences, and then having that inward, because that's also, it's like an outward experience. There are physical factors to it, but the real beauty that you're feeling there is like you're having an inward. It's the supreme joy of the inner bliss that
Yeah.
that you're feeling in that moment. And in that meditation of, we start with this feeling that you're feeling. Feel it as a feeling of peace, and that there's nobody out, It's really late. You're on this mirror lake, stars above you, glowing, maybe moon and just vast universe that you feel
Mm,
like I'm here on this ball floating in space and there's infinite space around me in all directions. Like you can just visit that space of peace and feel that peace. And then as you feel that, then we move into feeling of calmness, realizing that we can feel this calmness. And just like you were saying, it's like standing in the eye of a hurricane.
mm,
It's all around you could be, all around us is going crazy. But if I go outside my house right now, like I'm here in Florida and there's some trees around and things. I mean, there's birds singing, the sun is out. Uh, we can this chaotic world that we sort of keep imagining in our mind too. We can exist in this chaotic world and we can feel this inner calmness, and this meditation allows us to do that and to be able to tell the difference. So it's not necessarily dependent on everything around us going the way that we want it to go in order for
yeah,
us to feel calmness and have that same feeling that you went through all the trouble to make that vacation, get out there, do all these things and feel it, and you're there and you got that. And so you can actually have that same feeling now every night, every morning in
facts.
your
Yeah, so
meditation.
true.
Mhm.
So, so true.
So it's the reason why to do it. And then also at the end of the meditation, we feel that ourselves and then we share it. You bring up your loved ones, you bring up people in your life that you know are struggling. Because that's a lot of, for me, like I'm very empathic. When my
Mm,
friends are struggling, like I feel it hard for them. Like if almost like I'm going through it too.
yeah.
So I use the meditation morning and night. I always bring up all my friends that I know are going through hard times,
Mm,
and I see them smiling back at me, and I feel it in myself and I feel that they're feeling it too. And it's funny, man. Some friends will call me and they'll be like, "Oh, I woke up smiling today and I just thought of you for whatever reason. I just wanted to call you." I was like, I know.
that's so awesome.
So it really works. So
It
do that
does.
for your friends, and actually it'll bring you a lot of peace yourself, because you're always like, what can I do? Like, how do I help? How do I help?
Yeah.
And that's the way you can help, really.
And to add to that, Chris is I have two young daughters, and my youngest is 5. And sometimes when kids are growing up, they don't have the words to express themselves, and so they express themselves through physical behavior. And they can take the form of yelling or screaming or tantruming or crying uncontrollably, what seems to be uncontrollable. And if you find a way to remain calm in the eye of the storm as a parent,
Hmm.
and I fail at this more often than I succeed. But if you can find a way to remain calm, and you realize, and you're going to be late. You're going to be late to school. You're going to be late to camp. You're going to be late to wherever, groceries. So you have that anxiety. If you are calm in the storm, where you can set that aside and realize, so what? So what if you're late? If you can do that and you can give that gift of calmness that you feel to your child and say, I can tell you're upset. We don't have to go anywhere. We can just sit. Daddy will sit
Hmm.
beside you until you're ready. And just
Hmm.
give that gift. Imagine how calm and like how like freeing that could be for your child if you just remove the worry and concern from that world that you are, and take the
Hmm.
pressure off of the person, that child. We don't have to go anywhere. We can just sit here. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be all the time, and it doesn't have to. And I get sometimes you have no choice, but in those moments you maybe want to maybe give that gift of calmness. And I can assure you they'll probably appreciate you for it in ways that they won't be able to say either.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you're not programming them to get into that state of mind
yeah,
like as an adult, you know?
that's
You're
right.
you're teaching them that you can be calm even when it's chaotic, and they're seeing that and picking that up. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's a cool thing to learn.
yeah.
Very nice. So to wrap up our time here together, I was going to read one more from Yogananda. This is just to follow up the last one. I love how this ends. It's one of these big sort of like wait for it kind of things, because it really puts in, this whole idea that we are right now in a dream.
Mm,
We're not actually these bodies. that feeling that I would get when I would wake up inside my dream, the sort of like, oh, just like the whole thing is tingling with possibility,
Yeah.
that exists all around us. We just, we've forgotten, we've turned it off, and we're sleepwalking. So even, like when you hear like awaken, these things wake up around meditation. It's not like you're going to wake up and disappear. You're not going to wake
Mm,
up and it all is over, or wake up and go somewhere else until you, actually die and leave the body or whatever. But
right.
you're going to wake up and you're going to like realize how fucking amazing this whole thing is.
Yeah.
And that's what it is you wake up in the dream and you realize like you've been sleepwalking through this thing, and you're actually, the driver. And so he says, this is Yogananda from a great book, how to awaken to your true potential, more wisdom of
Okay.
Yogananda. He says, come out of your closed chamber of limitation. Breathe in the fresh air of vital thoughts. Exhale poisonous thoughts of discouragement, discontentment, or hopelessness. Never suggest to your mind human limitations of sickness, old age, or death, but constantly remind yourself, I am the infinite that has become the body. Take long mental walks on the path of self confidence. Exercise with instruments of judgment, introspection, and initiative. Feast unstintingly on creative thinking within yourself and others. Above all, cultivate the habit of meditation. This is the inner switch you turn on to connect yourself with the infinite. Hold on to the after effects of meditation by your intention. You will then find that you are a reservoir of power in the body, mind, and soul. By constantly holding in mind the peaceful after effects of meditation, by feeling the immortality in the body, and by feeling the ocean of God's bliss beneath the changeable waves of experiences, the soul can find perpetual rejuvenation. And this is the part I love. He says, "You are all gods if you only knew it. You must look within. Behind the wave of your consciousness is the sea of God's presence. Claim your birthright. Awake, and you shall behold the glory of God." Om. Paramhansa Yogananda.
Beautiful.
And so we'll just leave you all with that one, and we'll return again.
Wonderful. Chris, thank you so much. Really appreciate always the time and the wisdom and reconnecting.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for sharing your experience and practicing with that. I look forward to like continuing talking about that, and I think we'll talk about these things, and it'll be helpful for everybody else that's practicing along with us.
100%. Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today, and
Yeah.
we'll see you again soon.